Hey, any lovely people out there got a rake I can borrow? Hi lovely people, this is Sean and I'm at the lovely place, and today I'm going to get started on a lot of the work inside of the tiny house pole barn so that we can begin to get interior walls up, first insulation, and there are many components that we've got to deal with before we can get to the insulation. Let me show you on the outside what we're going to be looking at on the inside. So this is the eave right here, and you can see the point where the wall goes up and it meets the eave. Critters are getting in there, all sorts of them. In fact, there's a big old huge gigantic spider right up there. I don't think you can see it. And then over here on the side you have the soffit, and these are not vented. However, there's all kinds of venting going on and access for the things that you don't want in there to get in there. So I've got to figure out how to stop that. Let's go up and take a look. Ooh, that's not so lovely, people. We've got to get a stop to that, put a stop to that before we put insulation in and frame these walls up for the interior wall siding. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run to the box store and see if there's some sort of netting that can go, I guess, from there to here. So at this angle, keeping everything that's out there from coming in here. And then I've got to find out what can I do about these eaves. Okay, so after we went to the box store, I did find the screen that I'm going to be using to put in to seal off everything from coming in from the eave. But when we got back and I got up there, I realized there's too many wasps up here for me to work. I'm gonna get stung or something. So we grabbed some bug bombs and we lit this thing on fire, and we're back and it's a new day. I want to show you what's inside, but first let me show you what screen I found, which, by the way, I'll do this screen project on a separate video, but today we're going to put vents up in the soffit. So this screen will be used on the next project. This is the extra strength ultra resistant. So it's a 48-inch by 25, and this building's about 26 feet long, so I may be about a foot short on there, but we'll figure out a way to connect it together. But yeah, this looks to be a pretty durable screen, but that is a project for another day. And right now I'm going to tell you why we're doing the vents, and then I'm going to show those to you so that you can know what we're up to. So like I mentioned, these soffits were not vented, and unless you're doing spray foam insulation, which we're not because it's pricier, and you can buy the kits, but I was just not confident that I would get it done right. And I also heard something, I don't know if this is true, but if anybody knows, please let me know. An electrician that did some work for me actually told me that he had to go in and do some electrical work in a place, and he was tearing out the spray foam to get to the electrical wires, and he noticed that the actual rubber coating on the wires was eaten off all over the place. I've never heard that from anybody else. Comment below and tell me if you ever heard of it, or if that surprises you, or if that's just a myth. But anyway, that's what I was told. It kind of scared me off from spray foam, but I know there's obviously benefits to it, and if it's done properly and it's mixed correctly, it's probably safe to deal with. So anyway, we're doing it the cheaper way because I'm going to try to do it myself as well. But when you are insulating a roof or an attic, you obviously need to vent it if it's not closed cell spray foam, because that makes it airtight when it's like that. This is going to have circulation, and we need to make sure that there's no condensation buildup in there and that everything can vent through and out the ridge cap, which I've got to do some work, because when they put the double bubble insulation up there at the ridge on the inside, they just rolled it right across the building. They did not cut a slit in it, so I'll have to cut a slit in that. But anyway, let me show you what's inside the barn that we just came here and unlocked the door. We're about to get to cleaning things up. I had to hold Mrs. Lovely off for a minute, because first thing she does when she gets here is clean. Before I show you that though, look at these leaves. I mean, they have blown in. We got our work cut out for us out here too, but look at this. These are wasps. So now you understand why I did not want to work up there while all these little critters were flying around, buzzing around my head. And it just goes on and on and on. So we have to have a air intake, and the fact that these soffits are not vented at all. Now there's obviously all kinds of space and air getting in there, because that's where all the critters are getting in, but we need to actually seal all that junk off wherever they're coming in at, which we're going to do, and cut openings and install these vents that I'm about to show you right now. All right, well, I found these on Amazon and ordered them, and they were pricey, and it hurt me to do this, but I wanted to get vents that were large enough to maybe do the trick and hopefully get enough air in there that it would actually create that circulation that we need. And so, yeah, I ended up getting 10 of these, 5 for each side of the pole barn. I just went and purchased these self-tapping screws. They're 3/4 inch in length. I think that should do the trick, and they're number 8s. These are the real tiny little holes here, so I'm hoping the number 8 will get through there without binding up too bad. So first thing I'm going to do is lay these out and put some black paint on the heads of these screws. All right, so this paint right here, I have a couple of cans left over from when they installed the building. They use this for touch-up paint. So this is the black paint that's made for this building. So we're gonna hit these screws and let them dry. We have, this is just over 6.5 inches. It's about 6 5/8, and then on this direction it should be the same. Yeah. Now the actual opening is about 4 3/4. So yeah, close to 4 3/4 square for the actual opening. So that being the size of it, I'm going to find a Milwaukee hole dozer bit that will work good for this. So I'm pretty sure I've got a 4 3/4 here. I think that's my largest one in this kit. Let's see. Yeah, 4 3/4 inches right there. So this will be the hole. Let's see how that fits over this space here. If I had a 5, I would use a 5. You could certainly get away with that, and maybe even larger, but this will be sufficient. That'll get the majority of that opening, and I'll put sealant around this whole outer perimeter and then tap it up with those screws. It's gonna work good. Okay, so it's a couple of days later, different shirt. Got a little sick that day. We were feeling under the weather, so we cut it off early, and we're back at the project right now. Let's do it. Got the Metaltech scaffolding up. Got our Milwaukee drill and the hole dozer all ready to roll. Got us an impact driver, and time to get up there and start cutting holes. We counted the soffit little portions, you know, so that we could determine exactly the distance apart. So we found the center, and then we put 2 evenly on each side of the center, or close to it. It's about a half of one down there. So we'll have a little bit more kind of coming this way toward the front than the back. All right, we've got this Dynaflex Ultra. It's black, and it's an exterior sealant, lifetime mold mildew, 1 hour rain and paint ready. Windows, door, siding, and trim. So hopefully this will do the trick for us. Okay, so we're up here on the scaffolding. I've got this little pattern, this little piece of cardboard that we made with the center. I'm gonna take the drill. I'm just gonna put a hole right in the middle of this. That's where I'm gonna drill my little hole so that I'll know where to start with my big drill. So let's shove this in here and make sure we're lined up each way. And it looks good. I'm just putting it up against the wall in there, and let's give it a little spot. So we've got our center hole drilled. Now we just take the hole dozer, and this is the 4 3/4 inch. We find that spot. If I can, yeah, and let's go to town and see what happens. All right, let's tighten this down. Like butter. Not sure where the little circle went. I guess it's up in there somewhere. Maybe it disintegrates it. It's so powerful. That's what she looks like. This was a pilot hole that I did the other day when I was up here. Just to find where it came through. I went up and looked to find it, to get my placement. But yeah, that vent will cover that, so that'd be perfect. Yeah, I still haven't found the little circular disc that came out of here. It went like a flying saucer across the barn, apparently. Okay, so I made this little pattern. I measured it so I can slide it back into this groove and fit it up against the wall, just so that I can then butt up my vent to this piece of cardboard. I'm just gonna have to eyeball it from left to right, but this will give me every one of them to the right depth so that this hole is in the center of my actual vent. So hopefully that'll stay there while I grab the vent. Off camera, I threw some of that black caulking on there, that sealant. And just to let you know, when we put these on, we're gonna make sure that the vent openings are pointed that direction so that when you walk up, you can't see up inside there. That'll be facing the other way. So it will be like this. So I'm gonna eyeball left to right. Let's pop this up here, get it kind of where it was. And left to right looks good. I can always slide it a little bit, but we're on and we're up against this cardboard, so that actually works out good. Now let's see if we can get a screw in there and tighten this thing up. Got my drill up here on top of the gutter. All right. All right, I think that one will hold until we get the other ones on. I can put a little bit more adhesive right there. I tried to pile it pretty full so that it would actually fill that space up. I'm not sure if it is or not. I want to check something out real quick. It looks like I got a little off kilter. Let's see what it did. Yep. Well, somehow I moved it a little bit, so I'm going to remove that screw. We're going to try to get this first one right so we can keep them all right. Okay, this got to come back a little bit. Maybe I'll be better off leaving my pattern in that the whole time. All right. Now we're butted up and square. Get that one out. Hit our other two screws. Okay. We'll put a little bit more caulking right there and I think we'll be all set. Looks good. So I came down a little ways and I'm noticing that this is off from where it is in the middle because this cardboard is just not easily going up in there. So I'll just pop it in like that. But that's kind of strange to me that it's not the same. But it's a pole barn. All right. There's our spot. Now I heard that one bounce way back here. Here we go. Cool. We'll play frisbee later. I want to make sure I put plenty on there. I bought 4 tubes of this. So I should have enough, I would hope. Tricky part, doing it without getting it all over me. Not possible. All right, let's flip this over and try to, oh yeah, we got this. Okay, pop the template in. Is it straight? It looks straight. Make sure these are facing the right direction, and they are. Let's put this back there again. Okay, scoot on back. There we go. And side to side. Pretty good right there. How's it look from the ground? It's pretty straight.
Just a little bit on that far corner. Just a little.
It's straight with my template. No. Maybe I've got to grab this screwdriver here. see about getting this one in. Try this side over here. Let's pop this out. How bad does it look down there? Does it look off? Looks good? Okay. Okay, so this side is completed. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 soffit vents on here. I'm gonna go backwards and you tell me if you see any mistake at all, because here's a clue. There is a mistake. All right, did you see it? Okay, well, if you didn't see it, then I'm not gonna tell you, but you probably saw it. So if you're ever gonna make a pattern to go by, that means you turn a switch off in your brain and you don't use your brain, you just use the pattern, right? Well, I turned the switch off, threw the pattern up there. One of my patterns, I designed it to slide up against the wall on the inside of the building, that way. The other pattern, I designed for it to slide back against the outer board. Well, I reversed one of those. On the most important, the very most important vent that we have, which is right over our entry door here, I reversed it and I actually used it wrong and slid it this way instead of that way, which brought my hole back about a nice solid 1.5 inches from where all of the other ones are. So no one would ever notice that but you and I, right? So we're not going to worry about anybody else ever coming, looking at that and say, hey, why is that one vent out? I could say something like, well, there's some kind of an obstacle up in the eave that made me do that. I was so smart that I thought ahead and I pulled that one out on purpose so that it would have all the ventilation it needed. Let's go with that. I like that one a lot better. Let's do that. That was the purpose. That's the reason that one is out. Yeah, there was an obstacle up there. That's the ticket. Let's knock out this whole side. Let's get this done. If you don't get it in one hit, it gets one side of it and then you can't grab hold of it in the center and it just goes anywhere and everywhere it wants to go. That don't make sense that it didn't go through that. I can fix it. All I gotta do is cut a piece and rivet it over there, but this pisses me off. So the Bulldozer, the Milwaukee Bulldozer, it's disappointing me, but it could be me, could just be user error. But what's going on is if you cut it at all unevenly, what you get is one side will cut in a little bit and it'll go up, and then the middle drill bit will not hold in. This thing will fling around. Well, look what it did. It's no big deal. I've got some extra metal. I'll cut this exact piece. I'll slap it up over this. I'll put a couple of rivets in it. I'll seal it. But what a pain in the rear end. Oh, yeah. But what's going on now, that's so weird, is I was able to get it to hold, and this thing would just spin and throw sparks like crazy, but not cut through. This is a brand new kit. This is a brand new bulldozer. When I go to the next one, we'll see what happens, but I don't understand. I cannot comprehend why it's not cutting through there. It cut great on the other side. I had one little mishap, but nothing like this. So we will see what happens from here on. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, I can no longer use this bulldozer in this particular hole. We'll try it in the next hole and see what happens. But I'm gonna remove this battery. I mean, the bulldozer, to me, it looks fine. If it's eating it up that fast, these things are not worth the money. That's for darn sure. But we're gonna use the multi-tool. We're gonna try to cut a circle here, get that out. This thing's loud, so I'm gonna use my trusty earplugs. Well, that is loud. Do one thing, create 5 other things to do. Okay, here we go. Let's do the next step. Okay, we got some light on the subject. I cut a long one. It took me a minute to find one. So we're gonna drill and we're gonna put these rivets through here, a few of them, get it up there, silicone it, and then we're going to paint it afterwards. And we'll be just as good as new. I couldn't be happier. I think you can tell. All right, let's grab a few rivets. And we're gonna make the holes before we put that silicone on there, because I don't want the mess until I'm done doing the holes. Okay, you know what? Let's check that. Let's silicone it. Let's get one rivet in, and then it'll hold it in place. All right. It's gonna be nasty. hole here. Just for a minute while I clean my hands off. Where's my...
There you go.
Hold on. Well, I'm not able to find that hole, so let's put another hole in, shall we? All right, perfect. Let's do another one. Okay. All right, it's gonna look good. We'll put a couple back there and maybe a couple in the middle. All right, it's holding. I think I'm just gonna caulk the middle of it real good and call that good. A little paint, a little more caulk will be good. Hopefully when that dries, that'll look even. If not, I'll do something to make it look better. But good as new. It's getting late. I only have 4 more to go on this side. I didn't get as much done today as I had hoped to. I think so that we can not be packing up in the dark, because we don't have a good lighting up here at the moment. I need to go ahead and probably pack up and most likely finish this another day. But right now, you're gonna see the finished product. I'm gonna show it to you now, no matter when I finish it. Here it is. All right, lovely people. This thing is done. This is done. So this was my last one. I just put it up and turned out pretty good. Every one of them went on just exactly right. Just perfect, except for that one that I showed you a little while ago. It's another day. It's actually 2 days later, and it's a beautiful day. It's windy, it's cloudy. I don't know if you can see up there. I want you guys to see this lovely sky. I mean, it almost looks like rain over here. You see the darkness at the bottom of this one, but it's just absolutely beautiful. Look at the sun hitting the field down there, and the shadow from the trees playing on the field. It just makes you happy being up here, and that's part of the journey. The other part is getting this tiny house ready to be used as needed and occupied as needed. So insulation and walls are coming soon. Now that we have these vents on, need to do a lot of cleaning up here. But before that, and coming up, is a project where we're going to be putting netting on the inside, like I showed you, of these eaves, so that anything that gets in these little crevices, because I don't want to seal all this. I would prefer to let air get up in there and get up in here. And I'm hoping, obviously bugs are going to get up in there too. But what I'm going to do is have a screen inside so that the bugs will never be able to get beyond this point. And if I ever need to, I could remove these and access this to vacuum out bugs. I'm hoping that that won't be needed. I don't know. If you guys have any advice for me, it's going to be, you know, maybe a little bit before we get that screen up. So just tell me what your thoughts are. If you think I need to seal this or not, I could always come out here on the outside and I could run a bead right across here and right across up here. That might be smart. I'm not sure. But I think right now I want to talk to you a little bit about, I guess maybe the burning question that some of you Milwaukee fans have, and that is, why did my bulldozer skip up here and cause all that damage to one of these ribs? And by the way, you saw the repair on that, and from the ground you can't even tell it, and looking up that way you can't see it, so it's a good repair. I'm gonna jump down off of this scaffolding and we'll talk about it. I thought I would come over here and talk to you from one of my favorite spots. This camera, it just doesn't do it justice, but out there you see some nice hills. Out west they would call those hills for sure. We call them mountains over here in the southeastern part of the US. And anyway, I just want to talk to you about the Milwaukee bulldozer. Let me have a seat here. That was a brand new bulldozer. In fact, the whole kit, I had just purchased it, and really I've always wanted it. There's a lot of specials going on this time of the year for the holidays, and so I took advantage of one of those specials, and I just went ahead and purchased that Milwaukee 28-piece kit. And the largest bulldozer in there was a 4 3/4 inch bulldozer. And on this side of the tiny house, point it over that way for you. On this side, as you know, we did 5 holes. One of those holes I had a little skip in, and but it was nothing that I was concerned about. I just thought maybe I kind of angled it a little wrong, and you can easily do that when you're making a big old hole, especially if you get one side in faster. Then, you know, that, like I said, that drill bit in the center for your pilot hole, it wants to pop out, and then you could be all over the place. So that's kind of what happened on this side one time. Well, I moved over to the other side, as you know, and on that very first hole on the front, yeah, it just, I was having issues. It was skipping. I had got cockeyed again, and it skipped over, and it just ate up that rib, and I had enough. It was getting kind of dark, and so we called it a day. And after I repaired the rib, of course, you saw that repair. That turned out good. But I got back to the house, and when I did, I pulled out that 4 3/4 bit, and I compared it to the 4 1/2 inch bit, which was the next size down in that kit. And I threw on my old reading glasses so I could see better, turn on a bright light, and I looked at that thing, and I should have showed it to you guys, but take my word for it. The teeth on that 4 3/4, the one I had been using, there was an obvious wearing out of the tips of those teeth. Now, these are the bimetal bulldozers, so I didn't know there was a lot of different ones. Apparently there's really, I think at this time, about 3 different styles. You have the bimetal, which is what we had. You have the carbide tip that is supposed to last, I think, 50% longer, or 50 times, no, not 50 times longer. I believe that's what the marketing says, but who knows. Anyway, it's going to be better, and it's going to work better on this kind of metal. Even though this one was rated for sheet metal and even Schedule 40 metal, it said, it just doesn't last long. I think when you're using those, you just got to know they're kind of disposable, and that's a very expensive disposable drill bit. And then there's something called the, I think it's called the whole hog, H-A-W-G, and I think it might be carbide as well. And I don't know, I didn't look into it very much, but I'm assuming that's probably the mother of them all. And of course, when you go up to carbide or the hog, it definitely gets pricier. These are pricey enough, but at my special deal, you know, there was great value, I thought. I think it was over half off, so that was good. But anyway, I don't fault Milwaukee on that. I think I just used a prior technology. They've continued to increase and make things better. But anyway, just so you know, when I got back today, my first hole, I didn't even bother using. I didn't want to do any more damage to my metal. So I went ahead and used that universal tool again, and I noticed I was just wearing out those blades as well. So I quickly decided, you know what, let me grab my trusty old, it's actually new, it's a Ryobi jigsaw, and I had some Diablo jigsaw blades for metal. And that metal blade on that thing, it ate right through the last, I guess, 3 that I did. I did 3 in a row with that, and I didn't notice any wear at all on the teeth of that jigsaw blade. So that was awesome, and it went through them. You gotta get the right angle with that jigsaw, but man, when you get going, it goes, and you got to control the direction it's going to go, because you're upside down doing it on there. But it turned out real good, and I made myself a little pattern for that too. I drilled 4 pilot holes, large ones, so that I could get that jigsaw blade up in there and cut around it. But yeah, that'll do it for this project. I'm excited it's done. Now I'm going to get back to another project that you will see on here. I'm not sure which one's going to get completed. This will probably come out first, so I'll go ahead and tell you what's going to be coming out behind this, hopefully immediately. And we typically post our videos every Saturday morning. That's what we've been doing since the beginning. Hopefully we'll be able to continue that, and maybe one day we'll be able to increase that and do a couple videos, maybe 2 or 3 a week. That's the hope. So we're looking forward to sharing every single thing that we do up here with you, so that you can be a part of it. To be honest with you, you motivate me. You make me not give up, because it's easy to give up when you're not accountable to someone. Now, I'm always accountable to Mrs. Lovely, and I'll never give up because of her. But the fact that you guys are expecting me to finish these projects that I'm telling you about, it may not be fast enough for either one of us, but we're going to get her done. So anyway, God bless you. Thank you for joining me here at the lovely place today, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon. You take care. Until next time.